Sorry, part 2 had to come around. What? All right. So, unfortunately, I got... All right, I won't. I'll leave it go. MiniGM's a little mad at me right now. So, the Grave Knight. Sorry we lost that. That's number 9. And the Grave Knights are an interesting critter. They're a creature that comes back due to they are the champions of the undead. The one they give as a template as a 10th level fighter, but you can go much nastier. It's 10d10. You can take them up tougher than that. Their biggest thing with them, like I said, is the fact they get a Phantom Steed, a Ruinous Revivification, and the fact that they basically are tied to their armor. They also have Devastating Blasts they can do as a cone of energy from them as well. So the Grave Knight is a fearful creature in the whole right because it keeps coming back. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So until they get a hold of that armor and truly destroy it, which I suggest to you as a GM, powerful armor, because you don't want them taking it out right away. You want it like the phylactery coming back. So the Grave Knight is another one that I would throw in there. So that's number 9. And again, I'll give you a top 14 now since I got cut off on the one video. So after the Grave Knight, where would I go next? Well, there's a lot of different things, but I think there was a Vampiric Mist that I liked. And again, going different challenge ratings depending on what your party is. A Vampiric Mist is kind of a nasty thing that they're not going to know right away how to deal with. It's a CR3. It's nothing too horrific, but it's something for low-level characters will be a pain in the rear end. It's vulnerable to fire, but it is amorphous, and it's got a DR5 to magic. So hitting it is not easy to do with a physical weapon. It can siphon blood. It siphons constitution points. It can engorge itself, and it becomes a misty form. So those type of creatures are really a little bit odd for your players. And if they're not familiar with how to deal with them, it's going to throw them off their game. What do you do with a mist that sucks your blood? You run. You run quite quickly. And even your most powerful players get frustrated by those kind of things because it's not something they can easily deal with. And it's something that can really make their life not really good. And so keep that in mind when you look at using things like this. All right, so other things. There is a specific vampire type that I really like. And let's see if they put it in this one. Nope, they didn't put it in 4. Though the Raveners are fun. That's the undead dragon. But I'm not looking at that for Halloween. The Vitala vampire is a nasty, nasty, nasty one. Where's my Vitala? I bet it's in the 4th one. The Vitala one is the Oriental or the Indian vampire. And they are an interesting vampire. They're very different than the regular ones. Oh, well, they don't have it in here. But the Vitala basically is a vampire that comes back with a thing across its face. And it can detach from its body and fly around with its innards and the head. It's freaky. So you want to keep that in mind. You want some things that are going to strike a little fear in your players. That's one of them. And it's not your standard vampire. It's not as easy to deal with as your standard vampire. It has a lot more challenge to it. So look up the Vitala. And I think it's Vetalia is the spelling, or maybe without the I. But keep that in mind. Another just nasty, nasty, nasty of nasties. Now, let's go to the horror adventures. There are some ones in this that I think are just some really cool things. All right. The Hive. I love the Hive. These are your Hive creatures, kind of like Alien, where they come out your body and they become pretty nasty. And they start out with the Hive larva, the Hive warrior, and the Hive queen. And it is very much like your aliens, type of nasty. I like it because it's something surprising, especially when it comes popping out of somebody. And as the larva does, they pop out. And so it's kind of a fun creature. So that's number 10 for me. Okay? So that's the 10th one. Now, the 11th one. And I like this. The Trompe l'oeil, or the painting. What better way to scare your players than have the painting come to life? Especially when they're not expecting it. And especially it's pretty nasty. They are life-size portraits of whoever they are. They can rejuvenate, they have the construct type of mindset, and they're not easily dispatched. So the Trompe l'oeil is really an interesting and fun, and it's in the Horror Adventures book. You can look it up. Probably most likely has made its way to Pathfinder SRD, and a really interesting and fun creature. Think about it. You're in a dark house, an old house, with a painting that seems to have survived the weathers of time. Characters go by it thinking nothing of it or put it into their possessions and take it along with them. They go to sleep. Out comes a Trompe l'oeil. Surprise! Number 11, Trompe l'oeil. Number 12, and we're going to go into the Tome of Horrors. Loves me the Tomes of Horrors. So we're going to take a look at some really nasty things. I like the amber skeleton. It is not your standard skeleton. It is something unique and different. What's different about it? It's got a firebolt that it can use that does 66 damage. It's a CR6 creature. It has body heat that comes off of it that can damage a character. It has immunity to magic, so it is Amber Skeleton is immune to spells or spell-like abilities that allow SR. So anything SR, anything that's got an SR that's used against it, don't work. That limits your player's spells, especially when trying to take this down. But it does have a vulnerability to water. It is a construct. It is not an undead. That's the kind of cool part. So you're not dealing with an undead. So if your characters want to try to turn it, they cannot. And I think for me, that is one of the coolest aspects of these creatures, is the fact that they are not something really easy to take down. So number 12, the Amber Skeleton. Number 13, the Dreadweed. Don't you love how nasty that looks? The Dreadweed. This is off page 76 of the Tome of Horrors 4. It is a humanoid figure that appears to be a tangle of roots and vines with a stump. This is a plant. Again, not an undead, but scary as heck. It has an enervating aura, which basically, as you know, it's negative energy, so it does damage just from the fact of its aura. Or it has a ray it can shoot out. It also has poison and vines, so it can strangle. Just kind of a cool effect when you're walking through a swamp, when you're walking through a forest, and one of these comes up behind you and starts fighting. They are not necessarily solitary. They can be in a cluster of 2 to 8, and it's a CR8, so 88 plus 40 hit points. Some pretty nastiness. So for a medium-sized party, a great challenge and something just a little bit weird and fun. So number 13 is the Dreadweed. And finally, number 14. What will I pick for number 14? I will pick a ghost-like spirit that I love out of here. It's the Hakeem. See, there's the Hakeem. The Hakeem is a CR7. It's got the 88 plus 40 plus 8. So, I'd say it could even be a CR8. It's got an Imperial touch that the Hakeem inflicts 76 damage from just the sheer touch. So it's pretty nasty. It has a life sense, so any living creature within 60 feet, it can rise up and come after. So out of a graveyard, an Hakeem would be interesting. The Hakeem has the jealousy of the living, especially, and is specifically potent. And basically, it can merge into a body or possess a body like a magic jar spell. So it goes into your Heroes of Horror possession rules, or in any other ones of your system's possession rules. It has a paralyzing howl, and it can rejuvenate. So it comes back in 2d6 days unless you find the way to kill it permanently. 14 wonderful things that are a little bit different than the norm for your Halloween holiday madness. I hope you guys like this. I hope you like both part 1 and part 2 of the video. I wanted to take some time with it. Now, that said, make sure you have some interesting things for your players in your campaign. Put in some witches that are good. Put in some summoners and some channelers that are really good. Maybe you have a harrower, so you got somebody that can do harrow decks or tarot decks in your campaign. If you're a modern, you have somebody that's a fortune teller that will guide the players to an interesting area that they wouldn't have normally gone to. So have those type of things available to them. Don't make all these evil. Make some of them actually good. There's some great societies. I know for Pathfinder, there are some super societies that deal with things. The Esoteric Order of the Palatine Eye, as well as, what's the other one? There's a new one that's fresh out of the recent Path Strange Aeons, that are a society that's out of Thrushmore, and they're an interesting little society that goes against the evils and tries to deal with them. So keep in mind, you might want to have some societies that deal with evil in your thing. Kind of think of the Sleepy Hollow effect, if you've ever seen the Sleepy Hollow with Ichabod Crane and the lieutenant, or lieutenant as he calls her. They have their own group that deals with the baddies. You maybe want to even get your players to interface with them and have that bond or relationship with them that'll get them some boons and favors. So take some fun to really weave this well for your players and take the time. I'm a believer that you can really spin this off in a good direction, and that you really can. Oh, the Sleepless Order. I'm sorry. The Sleepless Order. I forgot about them. Those are the ones that are out of the Strange Aeons. Boom. Just kind of deals with me. But you got to have some things like that that are the guardians and the watchers. They don't have to necessarily be good, but they just guard life and society. So keep that in mind. Now you can use Cthulhu things. Those tend to play out into larger adventures and may not just be a one-shot Halloweener. These other ones you can use as a one-shot part of the Halloween. Maybe it's a side encounter or something the players come upon that they don't expect. That's the fun of this. So, Tome of Horrors, Bestiary 2 and Bestiary 3. All ones that have these monsters in them. Pathfinder SRD might also have them. Keep that in mind. But they're all good books. I love the Tome of Horror series by the folks at Frog God Games. They do a great job with them. They come up with some really unique things that are different than the Pathfinder ones. And most likely your players are not familiar with Frog God. So they're not going to automatically know what these things are. And so you're going to have some fun playing Figure Me Out and making them roll their rolls to figure it out. And I would. And I wouldn't give away things easily to help them battle it. Let them really think about it. Make it a menace. Make it something that they have to keep coming back to and dealing with. That makes it the fun of a Halloween type of thing. Keep it in that vein and that theme. And I hope you really have a great week. MiniGM, tell them have a great week. MiniGM says has a great week. And enjoy your Halloween fun and madness. Thanks. This is GM Rick signing out.